Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today I'm very excited to be joined by Courtney Taylor, the founder and CEO of Worth the Wait Fitness, an online coaching company that helps women over 30 lose fat, build strength, balance hormones, and regain confidence through sustainable lifestyle changes. She personally lost 148 pounds via diet, exercise, and consistency, and has kept it off for years, fueling her no-nonsense coaching that ditches crash diets for real-life strategies, blending evidence-based fitness, practical nutrition, and accountability. Courtney's approach fits busy careers, families, and hormonal shifts, delivering lasting fat loss, strength gain, and mindset shifts that women can actually maintain. Courtney, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm very much excited to dive in and learn a little bit more about your journey. This one is right up my street. And Courtney, with all of my guests, I do like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind briefly taking me back to what it was you was doing before you started up Worth the Wait Fitness, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Sure. So, what I did before, I worked in corporate America. So, I've done everything from sales right out of college. I did pharmaceutical sales for a medical device company. And then I went from that to working selling internet. Then from that, I got into staffing. And from there, I jumped into HR. And that was the bulk of my career was I ended my last position as the HR director for a chemical manufacturer. And I was there for about 7.5 years before going and diving into what I'm doing now and fully into my business. So that's, yeah, I've got a big background mainly in HR.
Nice. But I think all that will come in to good handy use when you are developing and building your own company. And actually, obviously, starting a sales and coming to HR, you learn so much about business, much about learning people, about learning to work with people as well. And did you always have a little bit of like an ambition or a glimpse into be an entrepreneur, or is that something just naturally happened throughout your own journey?
It naturally happened throughout my own journey. It was not in the plan. I never really thought about it. I've had people in my past, as I was growing up, say, you would be a good entrepreneur, and I could see you doing that. But it was more there. They saw that before I did.
Yeah. And I think quite often from the outside look, people will notice that more than you will do yourself. It's more of like just getting that comfort. And then when did the interest in fitness come into play?
Well, the interest in fitness came in as I was going through my own personal weight loss journey. So I had, as you had stated in the introduction, I did lose 148 pounds through just diet and exercise, and I didn't have a trainer, so I was just trying to figure it out as I went. And I had always been a yo-yo dieter myself, and this was just a time where I was basically done with that cycle, and I was going to do whatever it took to get out of that cycle. And so I just did a lot of research, and through that research is where I became interested in the nutrition and fitness in general, and felt like I've got all this information now and it's helped me. So I have the information and credibility, so I might as well make an impact on people and share what I know.
Absolutely. And I think there's a big calling for it, especially with the more that's leaning into the sustainable aspects when it does come to health and fitness. And for women, it can be very overwhelming to jump in and start their own journey. So naturally, I feel like that's part of what you help them do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, especially for women. And I specifically work with women age 30 and up. I've got, and that can vary just a little bit. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's basically who I have the most information for. I do
Yes.
train women in their 20s, and all the way up to their mid 80s. So I'm all the way across, and so I know kind of what to do along with each stage of that journey.
I love that. So let's dive into the business a little bit more then. Let's dive into Worth the Wait Fitness. Now, you mentioned there obviously a couple of people that you can help, like age-wise, so mainly starting with women 30 plus. But like who would you say is your ideal client? Like who is it you very, very much love to work with the most? And then from there, how is it you help them? And how would you support them along their own journey?
Sure. So I would say that my ideal client is someone who is has a family who has most of the time they're on a very high stress, high, very busy schedule, don't have time to do a lot of research, don't have time to do a lot of workouts, and really on the go, whether it be sports events for kids and they're on the road, or
Yeah.
if they have their own career and they're trying to balance everything. So, a busy mom, a busy grandmother, someone that just needs some help and some motivation. They feel like they do for everybody else, and they just haven't taken a lot of time over the past years for themselves. And some of them can even find that as feeling a little bit selfish if they do take and try to prioritize their health and their wellness. And so with that, I'd help with the mindset of that and trying to reframe that to it is not selfish to take care of yourself and your body, your mental and physical well-being. And the way that I help them through that is just conversations with them, seeing them. I have some people that I see in person. I have some people that I have just online. And then I have a hybrid model as well. So I do all across the board. But I just start helping them have, and by having conversations of, you know, we've got to change your mindset. Mindset is a huge thing. That's really first, because a lot of people can get the information that they need as far as what should I eat during the day. But having
Yeah.
that mindset shift is really what's gonna catapult them to seeing the results that they want.
I could not agree more. And you are taking that full like 360 approach to fitness by starting with the mindset because as I said, like the overwhelm is tend to what stops women from taking part in fitness to start with. And then even as you mentioned that I didn't even consider is the fact that as you say, they need to allow themselves permission to look after themselves, to kind of put themselves first for a change. So that is a lot of work that you are doing. And then obviously what is your style when it comes to coaching or like what is your approach? So like what is it like to work with you, Courtney?
Yeah, so my style is very hands-on and I communicate a lot. So I want to make sure that my clients are very comfortable in knowing what is expected of them, what the plan is, why we're choosing that plan for them, what they can expect from that plan, and a timeline. So transparency is big for me. I feel like you can't fully go where you don't know where you're going. So laying out a strategy is big for me and making sure that they understand that and then being there to support them through that because there are going to be hard times and letting them know ahead of time, hey, this is going to motivation is not always present. Motivation, you can't just rely on motivation. So I try to help give them the tools that are going to keep them going on those low motivation days to get closer and closer to their goal.
Yeah, as you say, you want to be building, stacking those habits, and it is like a combination. So they do get when motivation isn't there, that discipline will just naturally see them through because they have built that into their routine so much, which is a really cool approach. And naturally, obviously, with women, there's a lot they need to consider when you are going through your health. So like you're bringing nutrition into it, you're obviously bringing other aspects into that as well, and really getting into their level, which is a really nice approach. Now, there's a lot of noise online when it comes to the fitness space and it in general comes to like fad diets and whatever it may be. But with all that being said, how do you go about getting your voice heard and making sure those right people are finding you? Like what channels or methods are you finding most effective in just finding those right people to work with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I am on all social media platforms, and I started with content that I felt like I needed at the time, the start of my journey. I just looked back and remembered what did I need? Because I remember when I started my journey back in 2020, I looked on YouTube a lot. I would look up, what are other people doing and kind of following their journeys. And so I wanted to provide a platform that would mimic that, so to speak, to help to help them find me there. So I would just consistency. I would post things and videos just to try to get awareness out there and who I am and what I'm, and especially, who I work with the most. So posting consistently, coming up with content that really drives home with my specific audience was important to me too.
Yeah, so being authentic online, and that's such a great avenue to take when you are trying to build like trust and resonations with people. It is kind of diving into that pain and hoping they see a little bit of themselves in you. So that's a really great approach. And is it all organic, or did you like, or do you run kind of ad campaigns to just reach a wider audience for yourself?
It's thus far it's been all organic. Yep. No, no. So everything has just been post and word of mouth and see who comes to the channel. So yeah, it's been organic.
Organic growth from that. And then have you ever had it? Do you have help as well on the back end of things, or are you pretty much a solopreneur, kind of juggling all those hats, doing the content and the fulfillment of everything within the business?
I do work with alongside a market or social media marketing agency that will
Beautiful.
help edit that content. We discuss on a monthly basis what we're trying to get out there for that next month. What do we need to share? What are people struggling with? And then they come up with ideas of different ways and that we can do that. And then I will film, and then they edit that for me.
Beautiful. I think that's a big job saver. And I feel like, especially when you are marketing, it's so hard to do it for yourself, like to get out your ideas and just your expressions in a way that everyone else can relate to it. So it's really nice you found that team that you can help with that aspect and then move it along
Yes.
from there. And then with all that being said, like what are your ambitions for the company moving forward? Like when you think of maybe the next 6 to 12 months, like what is the vision you have? What are the goals that you're hopefully looking forward to achieving for yourself?
Sure. So what I'm really focusing on at the moment right now is just perfecting what I have, working with the clients that I have right now and really um, going in depth with them to make sure that they're fully taken care of and really just perfecting
Yeah.
my craft. That's really the best way to put it. And making sure that I have the right systems in place to sustain the business, make sure that I have the right systems in place to scale the business because I wouldn't want to scale it and then not be able to manage that. So making sure that I'm not trying to go too fast too soon, that I'm
Yeah.
really getting in the weeds and making sure that I understand going through experience is the best teacher. So going through that. And that's what I'm doing right now. And then for the immediate future, I mean, I would say within the next few months, what I'm looking at doing is expanding my app. So I want to add more options on my app to where even if you're not necessarily a client working with me from month to month on a contract per se, you can still, sign up, get some resources from my app. If you want to join like a monthly membership, then you can do that just to get lots of resources on a weekly basis that other people, wouldn't have access to just on social media. So that's something that I'm looking to do in the next few months, and then from there, I would like to expand the business. I would like to do more online business. I would like to have build a team so that we can have more impact on a broader reach because I can only do so much,
Right.
myself. So you have to rely on people. But as I'm trying to perfect the craft right now and building the right systems and the right foundation, that is to look in the future to have a team that will help me do that so we can make a bigger and larger impact.
Beautiful stuff. And there's so much exciting things to come. As you say, like developing the app so you could just have that broader reach and just help a wider amount of people, keep it easy, accessible for everybody is such a great way to do that. And then naturally, it was such a great point you made for anybody that's listening to have that operations behind you before you scale. There's nothing worse than scaling a business and it all comes crashing down because you build it on a house of cards. So as you say,
That's right.
making sure you have every step in place before you can take those steps and then get it to the masses and scale from there. Where are you probably finding like the biggest challenge for yourself at the moment within the business or even taking those next steps?
I would say that the biggest challenge right now is time management, making sure that I'm spending enough time on the right things and not wasting time on the wrong things and having that discernment or having the wisdom to discern which one is which. So,
Yeah.
really just trying to build that foundation, as I said, of what do I need to be spending the most time on versus what are distractions? Because a lot of things can look like, new ideas are great, but sometimes if you have too many new ideas, it can kill the business. So discerning which ideas are needed at this stage, not necessarily to mean that they wouldn't be needed later or they're bad ideas, but just having the wisdom to know what you need, what's the next step right now that's going to get to the next one and still be able to provide quality.
Yeah, for me that all comes back to the operation side of things. So as you say, like too many offers just dilutes what you're doing. You kind of stretch yourself too thin at the start. So as you say, very much hone in on that skill, make sure you nail that. And then as you grow and the team develops, you can then let your creative ideas fly and really flourish from there. But as you said, just very much locking in and then we can take that next steps. I feel like time is one thing most founders struggle with. Essentially you're building your own business while you have family and outside work on the side of it as well. So it's just finding that right balance for yourself. And as you say, prioritizing what you need to do now, and then what can happen in the future will definitely come in the future. And
That's right.
and I have one final question to ask you, Courtney, before we log out. So, if you could go back in time to a younger self, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now, but that you didn't know back then, what would you say to yourself?
I would say trust your instincts and don't be too worried about what people think of you.
Beautiful. I love that a lot. Trust those spidey senses. And Courtney, thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing your incredible journey and insight with us. Where can our listeners reach out best to work with you or connect with you if they would like to be?
Absolutely. And thank you. I've enjoyed it. And yeah, the best place to find me, you can either email me, which my email is ctaylor@worth, the letter T, and then weight, WEIGHT, fitness.com. So ctaylor@worthTweightFitness.com is a great place to start. You can catch me on social media, Worth the Weight Fitness on Facebook. And then it is Courtney Taylor on Instagram. And but start with an email and I get you plugged into all of my links and we'll go from there.
Beautiful stuff and amazing, Courtney. Thank you again. I really appreciate your time today. And to our listeners, no, thank you. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to go and check out Courtney Taylor. Drop her a message. Was it ctaylor@worththeweightfitness.com?
At Worth T Weight, yeah.
WorthTweightFitness.com. We'll have it all linked out below. Please go and drop her a message. I'm sure she'd love to hear from everybody. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from $0 to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we'll see you on the next one.